I arrived at the Guildhall School in 2009, I came across one particularly interesting and innovative endeavour going on there. As you know, from its title, the school has both a music and a drama programme. And that dual identity isn't completely unique in the world. Some other schools also have music and drama programmes under one roof. But, as one respected US commentator recently put it to me, contact between actors and musicians in many such schools is confined to people passing each other in the elevator. Guildhall's different. For some years now, energised and inspired by a small group of senior faculty, some who you will hear from tonight, music students and drama students have been offered carefully constructed opportunities to work together in creative collaboration. And I was very keen to see this phenomenon the subject of serious research. And today's presentation is actually the first public showing of the research that we've started on this topic. And I hope by the end of the session you will have got at least some preliminary answers or sense of answers to three key questions. The first question is, why do faculty and increasingly students place such value on work which is not a mainstream feature of the conservatoire world? Second question is, what kinds of projects have been accomplished within this activity? And third, and most critically of all, how have they affected the students involved? But today's presentation also underscores some values and priorities that we're developing in the school's research as a whole. And again, there are three of these. Firstly, we place a particular emphasis on research which comes from and informs the creative and pedagogic practice taking place in the school. We want our research to have the best chance of impacting back on what goes on in the school and improving it. The second value or priority is that we prioritise research which involves practitioners, whether they are creative artists or teachers or both, alongside people whose primary identity is that of researcher. And in that we aspire to realise a collaboration of equals, where researchers and practitioners shape and implement the work together. And, well, you can be the judge of whether this project is achieving that or moving towards achieving that. But thirdly, this is personally, I prioritise my own involvement in projects which have a relevance for the improvement of the relationship between performers and audiences in live performance situations. With support from a number of colleagues, we've implemented a research programme with the ambitious name of Understanding Audiences. The programme has several active projects, of which tonight's presentation is only covering a part. And the understanding that we're talking about here is, above all, the understanding that the artist, be it player, composer, writer, director, has of their multiple audiences. How well do they understand the composition and motivation of their audience? How aware of the audience are they? How effectively do they communicate with an audience? And how can pedagogy within the conservatoire best address the performer-audience relationship? And as you will hear, one of the motivations for the actor-musician collaborations in the Guildhall is to positively affect audience awareness among musicians in training in ways which have real impact on their effectiveness as performers. So the work that we're presenting tonight has involved a wide range of people, and that's one reason why there are, in fact, 4 of us on the platform. We are presenting information on 2 separate actor-musician projects. The first of these is a production of the Jason Robert Brown musical entitled The Last 5 Years, which had public performances in the first half of 2010. Christian Burgess directed this project, and I undertook interview-based research with members of the cast and the production team. So Christian will describe the artistic and pedagogic aims and outcomes of this project, and will show some brief selected video clips from a performance in the Barbican Pit Theatre in April 2010. The second project is an elective course on storytelling, jointly devised and run by Kenneth Ray and David Dolan. this particular course was run in the summer of 2010. And the outcomes of this course was an internal, informal performance, which the school calls showings, which were attended by staff and students at the school in July 2010, but was not externally promoted. Interview-based research with students on these courses was undertaken by Miriam James and Biranda Ford. So,
actors work and rehearse as an ensemble. Musicians often spend hours alone practicing. The actor only has himself or herself to offer, and a musician has an instrument behind which it is possible to hide. So, in a statement which embraces a gross generalization, the actor develops by gradually peeling layers away of protection while simultaneously building towards a technical proficiency. The musician develops by developing technical excellence, but is not always required to confront the demands of revelation of the self in performance. Now, the last 5 years is a chamber musical for 2 actor-singers and 6 instrumentalists. It's not a work that I was familiar with before somebody put it in front of me, and it's probably not something that I would have ever chosen to do if somebody hadn't encouraged me. As far as I'm aware, it's only ever been performed with the musicians virtually invisible to the audience. So when I was asked to direct this piece as an extracurricular event by actually a technical theatre student who had big ambitions to become a producer, in fact he's already succeeding in those ambitions, I agreed on the condition that the actors and the musicians would share the performance space with equal visibility and with equal status. I've never been motivated to work in the theatre on a piece that involved musicians where they were consigned to a pit or a shelf. In the case of the National Theatre, they like shelves. Now, as much emphasis in the rehearsal was placed on the storytelling implicit in the instrumental playing as it was on the delivery of the 14.
Actors are on stage. They must be able to make the story clear, fill the space with their presence, and build a strong rapport with each other and the audience. Otherwise, the audience is simply not engaged. So the heart of the training process of the actor is about widening their range, widening the range of their emotional expression, their physical expression, and the range of their personality. In our research, David Dolan and I set out to apply this principle to musicians and to see how it affects the sound the musician makes and also the way the audience perceives the musician's performance. There were 3 stages to our work. Firstly, I came into some of David's classes doing acting exercises with the musicians. Secondly, we brought the musicians in to work alongside actors on a project. And thirdly, we set up a collaborative performance between the actors and musicians. By applying acting techniques, musicians can achieve a lot in moving towards more expressive playing and conveying more sense of personality. But the acting exercises will initially push them way out of their comfort zone, and they're likely to feel very exposed. I've chosen this first video clip, me working with the musicians in their class, because it shows their awkwardness in the very moment that they start to move out of their comfort zone. They're willing, but very self-conscious.
Yeah, give it to somebody else. And pick it up straight in the mirror. And keep it going. Take it a little bit bigger, bigger, bigger. Good. Keep facing each other. Good.
Ha. Ha.
Bit bigger, now bigger. Braver. Mira, take it into the center. Bigger. Good.
But put the musicians alongside the actors, on the actors' territory, and progress can be accelerated. At first, the musicians feel intimidated, but when they see the actors struggling with the challenge of broadening their own range, this gives the musicians courage. We worked on 2 projects to test this. Storytelling, with first-year actors, which led to a performance in which they dramatised myths and legends. This was narrative-led, so the music supported the story. The circus project, with second-year actors, led to a performance of short circus acts. This was acrobatically led, and therefore turned out to be a more equal collaboration between actors and musicians. Words were not dominant. In this process, musicians start to see how music can function in a context outside the concert platform. This means they will be more visible, more mobile, and they may even function sometimes as actors. Their music will also have a different role, so they'll be thinking in a more innovative way. One result of this is that their musical communication changes. It becomes more vivid and precise in what it's saying. And indeed, you can see them starting to speak through their instrument. As a result, the sound takes on a different dynamic.
And I'm coming back to what Ken says about what next, how to apply that to the concert platform and indeed to the practice room. And the clips I wanted to share with you is of a group of 3 musicians who are now professionals. They are not students. They were all students at the Guildhall school. I think they graduated 4 or 5 years ago. They are now a group called Prima Volta, based on classical improvisation. And I would like to draw your attention to the relations between them and what we saw in the clips that Ken and Christian have showed us. And this going out of the box, going all the way, expanding the range of give and take between partners is actually affecting the music making very clearly. I hope you will agree. When Ken talks about expanding the sound, it is indeed happening. The actual sound and tone quality and the range of different timbre and extremities of pianissimo and fortissimo grows, but not only that, also the sense of gestures. And a part of the work that we do before the classes of collaborating with the actors start is about speaking the musical lines, both solo and chamber music. So it is being acted with speech, and we are relating to the expressive properties of the speech intonation, the music of the speech, if you wish, which is something that crosses, of course, cultural boundaries. And when it comes to the common way that we humans communicate emotions, the way the music of the speech speaks the meaning of it is a very powerful element here. So it's not only the sound, it's also the musical gestures, and then the idea is to connect between harmonic progressions and the sense of gestures and expression, melodical motifs, and the expressive meaning of gestures, etc., etc.